Fuck yeah, Jay. Thanks for coming on, man, to the potty. Fucking
Yeah,
so stoked to have you. Um,
fucking
Frothing, man.
stoked to be on, man.
I I've been wanting to have more hardcore trail dudes on the podcast without a doubt, but it's hard to get you blokes on because one, you're either always fucking digging or or two, you don't want to be on the podcast. So I'm very gracious, I'm very thankful to have you come on, man. Just talk trails.
Yeah, well, man, you guys, Backbone, um, the shit you got going on over there with snails and like all the good work you do with the kids and like what you've done with Hillfire and like bringing a community thing together, and I just got massive respect for all you dudes, man. So, and after meeting you at Hastings and getting some laps, and that breakfast we went and just talked about transitions for like an hour and a half while drinking 3 cups of coffee before riding Epsom. I'm like, yeah, man, this dude gets it. So
Yeah,
my pleasure, dude. My pleasure, man.
yeah, man. That was a special time. Like one of the biggest things for me is I grew up watching and being inspired by once I okay, so I'll go back. So a lot of the story that I tell to a lot of people that I have on as guests is sort of how I got into BMX, which is very much not hardcore. Like I was fucking, well, to be honest, I was probably like 7 years old when I first got into BMX, and you don't know anything. And then
Same,
yeah,
same.
and then you kind of get, for me, when I was 12, it was 1998, so I'm 38 this year, and or something like that. Anyway, so it was around the mid to late 90s is when I got into it, and I got into it, I guess, properly from getting BMX magazines. Like we could only get sort of BMX Plus at the time, and then seeing shit like the X Games, right? But
Yeah,
then somewhere along the way, just because you start sticking with it, you get into more and more that hardcore style of BMX riding. And for me, growing up in a country town without a skate park, I I hadn't even ridden a skate park for like the first however many years I rode a bike, and I always resonated with trail building. But even more than that, it was the UK scene for me. Once I first got my hands on older Ride UK magazines and stuff like that, it really resonated. But the biggest thing for me was, um, after all the years of being inspired by UK trail scene, and then just getting that tiny, tiny little taste of it when I went over there last year and getting to meet you guys, it
yeah,
was
man.
ridiculously special. And
Yeah,
that's what I wanted to sort of start this whole podcast on, was the fact that I wanted to have the man who holds the crown, the cup, so to speak, you know.
hang on, just a bit thirsty there, Tyson. I don't really like to talk about it much. It's not a subject I'm very proud of.
But yeah, man, like I just really wanted to share light to how sick and how eye-opening after so many decades of looking at UK trail scene to go over there and actually even have my mind blown even further. And I guess I just wanted
Yeah,
to have you speak on your background, you growing up with, and then getting into the trail scene. That'd be sick to hear.
yeah, man. Well, dude, kind of similar to yourself. Like I was a mad hyperactive kid. Um, and my mum and dad didn't know what to do with me. They're like, what's wrong with him? He's and like back then, you're talking like 86, 87. There was none of this ADHD or nothing, or you like, oh, he's this, or you put him in this. You was just like this kid ain't got an arse to sit on, like. So my dad bought an old rally burner from a guy at work, and my dad worked for JCB at the time. So he painted it all up, in like red, like real vivid red and yellow colours. And it had yellow tyres and the rally burner bars. And I remember him bringing it home. Like I must have been 6 or 7 at the time. And I was like, oh my God, look at this vessel of independence. I can, and back then where I lived, you could just rip up and down the street and there was a park at the end of my road. So that was it. There was older kids there building jumps. So I was down there just hooking it off, planks of wood and piling up bits of dirt and firing it off that. And then I suppose I got pretty all right at that. And then my dad took me down to a local racetrack, Wordsley BMX track, which at the time was pretty good, pretty gnarly. Like racing was still big then. You got Andy Ruffle in England, who at the time was riding for Rally. He was earning more money than the players that were playing for Manchester United.
Fucking
So
hell.
to put that in context, like he was earning more money than professional footballers playing at the top league, England players and stuff. So yeah, it was massive. He was on the front cover of bloody boxes of Weetabix and all sorts. So yeah, I went down to this Wordsley BMX track, and my dad often tells this story. He said, like, I just put you on the start hill and you just went. He says, and that was it. He said, you've done about 6 laps of the track. And he says, I thought you was having a fit down the bottom of the track. He says, so I come running down and I'm getting the helmet off you because I'm thinking you're having a fit. He says, but you're just having some kind of mad, like, enjoyment, like, God, this is the best thing ever. Like, get me back to the start, get me back to the start. And he said I had to, like, calm me down and, like, force drinking to, and that's on this, like, mad 8-year-old kid. And that was it, dude. I was in bikes.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I raced for a bit and just, but for me, it was always about the freedom, and the racing was a bit too disciplined.
Yeah.
You've got
Oh yeah. I get you.
you've got you've got people turning up with like the Winnebagos and like 3 bikes and a bike mechanic, and we were skint. Me and my dad were turning up in the work van and the bike was covered in crap because I've been riding it to school stuff.
Yeah.
And it weren't really our scene. So, like, lucky for me, like I said, behind where I lived, there was a public park. And then, like, when I was about 12, I met a group of friends who are still my best friends today, who got into BMX. And we started digging the park up, and that was it. We were in. I remember, watching Ride On, S&M 44 something. My big influences were like the likes of Dave Clymer, Keith Trinner, Mola. So the POW house were like gods. So we were a group of kids that molded ourselves in that mold, that we're too cool to race, we're too free, we're punk, we want to build our own stuff. And we really were at like the birth of trails, at the birth of building jumps, putting jumps in a line, and being, what, like, nowadays it's about, boosting and going as high as you can and super stylish and, so sick. But back then it was about rhythm. It was about, just skipping across these jumps nice and smooth. Maybe it took an X up in, a table, and it, it was about just flow, and the freedom of flowing. And it's so addictive, and it was so addictive back then, still is now. And like I say, we were in this mold. You know, my favourite rider was Keith Trinner. I love the Madman, and I love Dave Clymer as well. So, you know, I always try to ride very aggressive and like them. And the jumps we built, you know, being kids, it was like, oh, we'll build that bigger, and then we'll build this bigger, and then we'll, you know, so our jumps grew quite quickly, and it was it was so sick. And we had my friend's house, Denny, his house. His mom and dad were so cool, and he had a big house with a cellar. So that was like our base, and we built a ramp in the back garden out of old pallets. And the run up was up his entry. So houses in England are all quite compact together. So you got the house, and then you got his garage, and then you got an entry in between it. So you had to crank up this entry through his garden and then hit the ramp. So his neighbours would just see like kids every like couple of minutes, like 10 foot in the air above the fence and landing. And the entry was that narrow that you got about 20 mil each side to get your bars through.
Yeah.
So your bar ends was going clink, 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 clink as you're cranking up the entry. And still to this day, I go to his mum and dad's, and there's all the scars from the bar ends on the wall.
No way.
Yeah, like 30 years later.
Oh, wow,
So
that's sick. That is sick. Far
Yeah.
out. Yeah, I know what you mean about the these days how it is, you know, boosting and everything's so XL now, you know, so much styles on another level,
Oh man.
and it's so sick to watch. But there's something, you're right, man. Like I don't know if it's just age or what it is, but as I continue to ride trails, I'm not even really searching to fucking move my bike around as much as what I used to. You know, maybe my ego's
Yeah.
disappearing a little bit, but I love that. I love the feeling of just landing in a landing at the top of the landing, you know, like, and yeah, those style of jumps is really cool. I actually remember seeing a quote from, who was it? Must have been Chris Sales or something from like Posh, how he's just said before we used to ride jumps and now we coast through trails. And I think it's,
Yeah.
you know, that building jumps in a row, the rhythm is such a sick period of when trails first started. Obviously, I'm a little bit younger than you are, but yeah, I still feel the same sort of way. So then what happened? So you're talking, how old were you then? Young teenager?
Yeah, so like 14, but the thing that really like kicked us on was, so backyard jam was happening. So these backyard jams were legendary. Like Bexhill track was like this little racetrack down in Hastings, and you got like Stu Dawkins and Ian Morris and that at backyard who were going to put this jam on. So I'm like nagging my dad, Dad, this jam's happening. Dad, this jam's happening. Dad, this jam's happening. Can we go? Can we go? Can we go? Can we go? Will you take us? Will you take us? And my dad, being like the absolute legend that he is, gets a van from work, cleans it all out. So like he's a plant mechanic, so he fixes diggers for a living. So
Oh,
this
sure.
this Transit's had like barrels of diesel in the back and buckets and grease guns and everything. So he cleans all the back of the van out, throws like 4 mattresses in the back of it out of a skip, and says, "Yeah, I'll take you boys." Chucks 14 of us in it.
Holy
So you got,
fuck.
yeah, you got,
That's
honestly,
sick.
mate, ledge. My
That
dad
is
was a
sick.
ledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, chucks 14 of us in it and says, "Right, boys, we got like a 5-hour drive now to Hastings," and drive us to Hastings. And of course, on the way there, with 14 of you, 14, like it was like I was the youngest of the crew. I was, so I
Yeah.
was
Well.
like a few years younger than everyone else. So I was like 14, and you got like Danny and Dave and you know PJ and that who were like 16, and then you got dudes that were a bit older like Cooper and Craig who were like 17, 18, and they were kind of like showing us the way. you know, like, nah, this is where it's at, you know,
Yeah,
Hastings is
yeah.
where it's at. This, you know, just they got that little bit more knowledge and that little bit more, you know, they were cool guys, man. You know, the ex racers. Cooper was a skater, he was mega good on a skateboard. So we were like, yeah, man, we're following you. So yeah, we get down to Hastings. We didn't know where the jam was, where, you know, or whatever, but we knew what day it was. So we thought, oh, we'll just go to the shop. We'll just go to, you know, backyard shop. And so my dad pulls up outside the old backyard shop on Hastings Seafront. It weren't far away, it weren't far from, you know, where we went and got them pizzas.
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
Like down that row of shops, a bit further down that way was where the
Yeah, wow.
old backyard shop was. And so we pulls up outside. 14 lads been in this transit now for 5 hours. And my mate had got a little hole in his jeans. And the rule was, if you've got an hole in your jeans, everyone's going to try and make it bigger. So all the way there, we've been trying to make this hole bigger, like ripping it. So as we've got there and the back doors of the transit's opened, we're like hyenas ripping the jeans off me mate, like just tearing them off him. And like Stu Dawkins and Ian Mozza stood in the shop doorway, like 6 foot away from us, like, what the fuck's this just turned up? And like, we didn't know they were there, so we were all like, let them rip. Whoa, ripping fucking jeans, like falling out the fan and everything. And you got like two of the like coolest motherfuckers you'll ever meet in BMX stood there, and we're all like, all right, Mozza, all right, sorry, mate. And we went in the shop. And dude, you imagine like back then, like 94, I'd never seen an S&M. I'd never seen a set of 3-piece cranks. I'd never, you know, I'd never seen it. You know, I was riding a beat up old GT Pro Series with Tioga 1-piece cranks and stuff. So we walk in there, and I'm like, oh my God, there's S&M pad sets. There was a olive green homes on the wall. There's like redneck stems, 3 pieces, all the cool merch. You're like, I want it all. I want it all. How do we get this? So lucky for us, we've got a local bike shop, DIA, and there was a ledge that worked there, Bill. And Bill was quite a bit older than us. Bill would have been like 25 at the time, maybe. And he weren't like a hardcore BMXer, but he was a bike dude and he knew what was up, man. And he'd said to us before we went, look, if you go there and they've got everything you want, give him my number and I'll have a word with him and we'll see if we can get it up to the shop. So we've gone down there with Bill's number and gone, Ian, ring Bill, man. There's like loads of dudes, because there was by this time there was a decent scene in the local area, but like people were riding death traps, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just couldn't get. It weren't like today. It weren't like you go online and you buy something. Yeah, you could buy stuff from magazines, but everyone bought stuff from shops then. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
like a different time. So we're like, ring this guy, and like Mozza must have thought, who are these brummy lunatics like running around the shop? He probably got everyone with their eyeballs on us, making sure we weren't nicking stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So fair play to him. He gets on to Bill and he starts shipping the dirt bike frames and the Holmeses and the
Wow.
rednecks and yeah, like starts getting parts and Bill starts selling them. So then like all of a sudden then we've got a shop in our local area that stacked. And that was it then. The scene just, you know, grew. Other spots, you know, there was a, oh, sorry, I'm jumping the gun a bit here.
Oh
I
no.
just gotta say, we went to that jam, and Figs won the King of Dirt.
Oh yeah.
And
Wow.
it was when he done the big nothing to no foot can. And there was probably about 3,000 people there, depending on who you talk to. I've heard 5, 4, I don't know. I reckon about 3. And it was at a beat up old BMX track. Like Bexhill was knackered, like there was house bricks sticking out the track, and
Yeah.
but it was like a 15-foot tabletop, and they'd like carved like a metal quarter into it, and they just cranked off the old start hill as fast as they could, hit this metal kicker, and you know, super high, mellow landing, but hooking monster tricks. You got Keith Dooley there, he was riding the Fids, Mola. It was insane, man. It was absolutely insane. And like no security, no
Yeah.
security. Like there was no barriers. Everyone's like the run up. Everyone's like literally on them. Like they're coming through like a doorway length, like sea of people, and hitting this kicker. And then after that, after the King of Dirt, then they had something called the Chasm. Do you ever see that?
Yeah, I have seen that. Yeah, yeah. There's the
Mind
yeah.
blown, like a sketchy like lip built on the start hill, and then over like I don't know what the gap was, but back then it was huge, you know, like
Yeah.
40 foot maybe. I don't know, onto the sketchiest landing you've ever seen. It weren't packed in, it was all cobblers, house bricks, everything on there. So after the King of Dirt, then you have the Chasm Jam, and they're just pedaling like, I mean, like power wheeling across a football pitch at this kicker and just hitting it over a sea of people. And there's folk trying like big no-handers, T-bogs. Some dude flipped it, some dude freed it, like landing and just bikes exploding. You know, it was fucking chaos, and everyone's just going, whoa, fucking cans of beer going everywhere. And man, I was just like, this is it. I'm home. This is like, it don't get any better than this. It's
Yeah.
amazing, amazing. And then on the Sunday, then we went and watched Matt Hoffman ride vert ramp, which
Oh,
was pretty cool.
fucking hell.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
crazy, man. It's crazy
yeah.
that your dad took you to something that's like still seems to be what people are trying to replicate. You know, that type of jam. Fuck. So
I
sick.
just, I like, I went to the one the year, I went to the next, I went to 3 I did. So I went to the last one they ever did at Bexhill, and then I went to the 2 they did in the field. That one at Bexhill, man, I don't think you could ever replicate that. It was just, it was a special time. It was like, for years and years, people have been telling you, oh, BMX is dead. BMX is dead. Why would you ride that bike? BMX is dead. BMX is dead. And you know what? It had died in a way, because like it was just so popular. You know, like I say, you got Andy Ruffle, who was earning more money than, you know, footballers riding a BMX. And then all of a sudden, bam, the market fell out of it. Mountain bikes, racers, like road bikes, you know, and all the tracks started to close, and you know, the money went away, I suppose, and like you did see less and less kids riding BMXs. That's why when I met my first, you know, group of friends, it was like, so like uh, PJ's got a mongoose villain. I'm like, what? He's got a mongoose villain? Yeah, yeah. Do you want to come up, Denny, sir? And I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I've like gone up there to meet them, and there's like a few of them got like a mongoose menace, a villain, and that. And I've like come in the garden, and I've done a tail whip. I've done like a stick your foot in the front wheel and whip the bike round, and they're all like, "Whoa, how'd you learn that, man?" And then like, that was it. Then we're like, "Oh, I've got some jumps. Do you want to?" Yeah, yeah, come on, and you're off because like BMX it had died, but like when you went to that Bexhill like track and you seen like 3,000 other kooks there, like it was like fuck you, BMX ain't dead,
Mm,
like there's us,
yeah.
and to have like massive pros like Moeller and Hoffman come over and stuff. It was like, nah, something's happening here. Something's happening, and fair play to them boys down south, down in Hastings. They've always held it down there from back then to now. Like I get a little feeling at them source jams off. Yeah, that there's that little bit of wildness, but those backyards, they were just like you could never replicate them, dude.
Mm.
You couldn't replicate them nowadays because there's too many rules.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
literally, Tyson, there was 3,000-4,000 people there at the jams, and there was no security. There was a few Hell's Angels on the gate taking the money,
Yeah.
and then there were like 3 or 4 St. John's ambulance people.
Yeah, oh, fucking hell. That's so
Yeah,
sick.
it
That's
it was mental, mate, mental.
yeah.
And I think I remember like reading that like the local hospital was like overrun that weekend, and we're like, what is going on? Like, because like people are like killing themselves on the jumps, like I say,
Mm.
bikes exploding, people just spending it, and then BMX as being what they are, we're all young and loose, so everyone's caning the beer and fighting, and there's
Yeah.
riots, and oh mate, I think in the end they were just like, it's too much, like, you know what I mean?
Mm. Oh, yeah. I know exactly. You're talking about Ian and Stu feeling like it's too much. Or, yeah,
But
just,
but they spurred this thing on inside all of us that was like, right, we're going back now and we're going to make the jumps bigger. And there were guys from just like a spot called the Spinney from down the road where we lived, that they were building a super sick spot that was like way before its time, and we used to go and ride there, and they'd come to us, and they were at the jam as well. And yeah, it just encapsulated a time then in like the late 90s where trails just really got solidified, I think, in England. Like,
you think from even though, I mean, obviously it was at a BMX track and they had a jump that like jumps there or whatever. Do you feel like it was more just people felt this thing where they were, sounds very clearly like it was a DIY thing with this fucking huge crew of people there. Do you think that people were just like went away and wanted to do their own DIY version of that, even if it was in the woods? Is that kind of seems like that potentially?
yeah, well, we didn't have anything, dude. Like
Yeah.
I mean, even now, the reason our trails are so sick in my little town is because there's nothing for kids to ride. We haven't got a skate park. We haven't got an outdoor skate park. We haven't got a pump track. They closed the indoor skate park. So if the kids want to ride, they've got to build their own stuff. That's why, at mine, we got a pump track, we got a table line, and then we got lines from 2 foot to 30 foot, and everything in between. And back then it was the same. It was like, well, if we don't build something, we ain't gonna have anything, you know what I mean? So like street riding took off as well. That was massive because being in Birmingham, really industrial, really, you know, tight city. There's loads of DIY street spots and trails, you know, like we was talking about earlier. England's the perfect climate for digging. So, man, it was like, yeah, and you went down there and you seen like, fuck, you know, this is just a bunch of kooks that are like us that have got this off the ground. Then what the fuck can we do? We can do something. You know what I mean?
Dude, that's
Massive
exact.
inspiration.
Yeah, that's exactly what I feel like everyone needs to hear. Fucking, you can just do it yourself, man. Like,
Yeah,
exactly. Like that's how I feel. I was, like fucking no different. Just feel like you're gonna run a jam. Let's run a jam, and then all of a sudden you
yeah,
run it for enough time, and people start traveling from further and further away from it. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
yeah,
It's
yeah. And
actually
like,
you go.
sorry, mate, go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, it's funny that you were talking about the how pandemonium it all sounded like back then because when Riss and I first brought the jam that we run every year, it's called Act Jam, and for at the very start we just put it on, and luckily Riss and I had first aid, which is like you go and get accredited, so you can administer first aid and shit. Because the first year, man, like fucking first half an hour, dudes would pop their shoulders out, and like some dude's bars snapped and went into his chest, and it was super gnarly. Like, and but every year we kind of just winged it until it got to the point where like we had like fucking loads of police rock up one year because we ran the jam too late. We started the jam at 7 p.m. and ran it till 10 p.m. And by the time 10 p.m. turned around, like it was just so wild. Dudes are so fucking drunk, and that was
Yeah,
the last year where we were like, I guess our responsible side of our conscience got the better of us, and we're like, we're not running shit so loose. Like you can only,
yeah,
as much as it was probably for a lot of people that were there, it was like that was a special time for the dudes that are
yeah,
running it. You're like just about chew your fingers off because you're so nervous that things are going to go down in a
yeah.
bad way. But yeah, it's funny that you say that. But um, yeah, back to what you were saying just about the DIY thing. Like, I feel like it must have happened in spades over there because you guys just seem to have fucking spots galore. Is that the same sort of thing that's going on where there's just not other shit to ride? Like,
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, like I think it's the climate, really, you know, and the landscape, you know. Fucking, if you wanted a perfect climate for building trails, it's fucking England. It pisses down for 6 months of the year. You know, it never really gets fucking cold enough to freeze, and if it does, it thaws really quickly. It snows every now and again, but you can more or less dig all winter. You know, it's fucking 3 degrees and pissing down, but you can dig. Um, it's so fucking green. We got woods everywhere. The councils are all fucking wankers, so nobody wants to build a skate park, nobody wants to build a BMX track, nobody wants to fucking build an indoor park. You know, we've got one massive indoor park at Corby, and it's the biggest in Europe, but instead of building another one in Birmingham or a couple of smaller ones, they just keep adding to it and adding to it. They're adding like an Olympic track Olympic course to it now, and Olympic sized transitions and all the rest of it. And that's super sick for everyone that lives in Corby. You know, we've, but like up north, there's nothing really. There's the asylum, there's creation, there's a couple, but like they ain't accessible for everybody. So,
mm,
you know, you just get people going, fuck it, I'll build my own shit. And there's just, I don't know, there's this, because England's quite small as well, you know, like where I live in the Midlands, I mean, I wrote them down earlier, so I remember them all. You got Brighouse, you got Village, you got Staffs, you got ALV, you got Grandma's, you got Blackpath, you got Woodwardle, you got Overburden, you got Belton, and they're all within 2.5 hours of each other.
Fucking hell, man, that's so crazy.
And that's just, Midlands North. That doesn't even scratch the surface of the plethora of sickness that you've got when you go down south. Down south is like, because their climate's a bit better as well, because it's a bit like the sun shines a bit more, but still pissing down all the while. that they have got like that M25 is like, man, it's like the ring of sickness. Like you go down there and you got like Leatherhead, Wisley, Epsom, Sheet. Oh man, there's just so many. Brockham. Man, it blows your mind. Like me and Levi jumped in the van last summer and was like, come on, we've got a plan to meet Johnny at Brockham, and then just bummed it around from there. Like you can get lost for 2 weeks just riding a different set of trails every day. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It really is amazing, and because it's such a tight knit group. Like everyone speaks to everybody, and kind of like that. Like back in the late 90s and that, there was an attitude. There was a pretty salty, pretty quite unfriendly, really. I don't know why. I suppose it's because we was young and we all had big, massive egos. But yeah, if someone turned up from another spot to your spot, it was like, the fuck are you? I don't care if you dig. I don't care if you ride the same kind of bike. Who are you? What there was. Whereas now, I think social media has definitely helped everyone connect, and it's so tight knit, and everyone's so supportive and friendly, and that. Like, man, I ain't just saying it because I'm English and the rest of it. It really is the best trail scene in the world. Like, it's so sick. Like, everyone that comes is like, yeah. They keep coming back, so it must be good.
Yeah. Dude, I reckon, yeah, in the very short period of time that I got over there, and the fact that I didn't even I, I was just going there thinking that I was going to be in Hastings for a few days by myself, and then, to fucking get to hang out with all you boys and have Bob pick me up, having not even met him before, and then see as much trails as I did in such a short period of time. I can vouch for that, and I think I think you guys are ahead of it too, to be honest. Like in comparison to the Australian trail scene, which I still think is very tight, and I definitely don't want to come off sounding negative with it, but I think you guys just seem so welcoming, and you understand if someone's on the level of, we're all fucking loving trails, and it just seems like it just works for you guys. Like, because I was so surprised you were like, yeah, like, we're going to Epsom, and then we're going to go to another set of trails, and then there's a jam over here. Like that's impressive, man, to be so welcoming to all sets of trails like that.
Yeah, dude, honestly, like, because we're so close knit, everybody knows the real cunts. Everybody knows, if you're the real deal. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'll open the padlocks and leave the padlocks open at mine if I know like Sven or anyone's coming over from Sweden, or the boys are coming over from France or whatever. I've had boys come over from Spain, ride my trails. I've left the fucking padlocks open because I'm at work, and I get there at 5 o'clock after work, and they're just fucking dialed and ready to ride. there's a level of respect in that. You know, like we get this, you know, we get this label of being salty cunts, so salty, this and that. Fucking damn right, I'm salty. You know, I've been digging for 30 bastard years. You know, I'm 3 barrows away from a fucking wheelchair. I'm gonna be salty, and I'm gonna be protective of what I've built. You know, but I'm not unreasonable. You know, if you're on a level and I know you're the real deal and you're respectful and everything, I'll welcome you. You can come and stay at my fucking house. You can ride my jumps. Just be respectful. The joy I see in other people's faces riding my jumps and the stoke, man, that's all the fucking payment I need, you know, and seeing them respect them, you know, that's fantastic. You know, it's like we got some young pros in England, man, like starving artists. You know, they're skate park riders. They don't claim to be trails. You know, there's young Tom Russell, there's Ben Towell, Kaz Campbell. Man, when I say these dudes rip, Tyson. They're so sick, so sick, and like they ain't trails guys. But if they hit me up and say, "Oh, Jay, can we come in session?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, you can come session." You know, I've had Ben was Ben was riding in the opening ceremony for the Commonwealth Games
Oh,
at
fuck.
7 o'clock on the night in Birmingham last year. And at fucking 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he's ripping mainline with me at Belton.
That's
You
sick.
know,
Yeah, yeah, that is pretty
yeah.
fucking rad.
And I'll get there at 10 o'clock in the morning and he's already sat there with like the watering cans out and the brooms and that going, yeah, we're gonna get this ripping. You know, and he'll wait and put the spot away with me. And you know, they're so thankful. Like, always message you after, oh, thank you so much for letting us ride and everything. What am I supposed to say to them, dude? No, because you got 4 pegs on and no brakes, you ain't riding my spot. And because you don't dig all winter, you ain't riding my spot. But them dudes, they don't dig because they're living in the back of vans up at Unit 23, riding in competitions, like hooking mental tricks for 500 quid. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
in the middle of summer, when it's fucking 35 degrees, they're riding with no shirts on in fucking the Source Park or fucking um, Adrenaline Alley or whatever in backyard competitions. You know, they don't claim to be trails. So I ain't going to be fucking salty with them. They're BMXers, they're starving artists. If they come to me and say, can I film a fucking, you know, if Kaz come to me and said, oh, can I film a set here, a video here for EPAT or something, I'd be like, fucking dude, film it, man. You know what I mean?
Fuck, man, that's
I,
such a sick perspective.
I don't understand the shit that, you know, that some give to those kind of people, to those riders, you know what I mean? Because to me it's bollocks. We're all, you know, BMX, we should all stick together. And if, you know, the people I go after, the people I fucking can't stand, you know, these, you know, they look like trails guys. They've got the big fucking white socks, they've got the fucking wall in black, they've got the straight cable, they've got the kickouts both ways, and they fucking ride trails all summer. And then when winter comes, oh, I've lost the stoke, man. Oh, just, you know, I ain't feeling it. And off they go to some fucking wank mountain bike park to ride fucking big squishy bikes and fucking hike up mountains and everything while you're in the woods pushing fucking barrow after barrow after barrow. No fucking social life. Same old 7 fucking Black Sabbath albums. Same old soggy boots. Same old Barra. You know, and then them dudes then come back in spring and they're like, oh man, do you need any help? And that. No, I fucking don't. You know, It's like someone going to you on your fucking wedding night. Do you need any help fucking playing your missus? You know what I mean? Get to fuck. You know, and them are the dudes I'm salty with. You know, they mistake your blind passion for trails. You're blind, like, I fucking love this. I love building jumps. I love riding them. I just do it. I do it. I do it. I do it as much as I can. They mistake that blind passion for stupidity
Yeah, sure.
and mistake it for like, oh, he'll just do anything. But I'm like, fuck you, I ain't having that. So like I tell these cunts to fuck off and call people out and everything. And I get this, you know, reputation as being salty. Well, if I don't think that's being salty, I think that's being real, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a disrespectful thing, even just the way that you explained it, the difference between the boys like Tom and the other blokes, they are appreciative of what you're doing and they're not taking
Oh,
advantage of you.
massively,
You know what I mean? Then
massively.
when people start to take advantage, I guess that's where it, starts to hurt. It's a funny thing, like the whole trail thing. Like I think it's the salt is 100% understandable because of the amount of work that you put into it. It's a weird one. It's like because I get it. Like you can be so psyched on what you're doing that you want to share it with other people, and you want to see, like you said, their faces fucking loving it, like
Oh, it's
when
the best.
it's the best feeling to have someone ride your jumps and be like, fuck, that was the sickest time ever, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But then,
so good.
yeah, when it can just be taken advantage of time after time, which I think that most people, it sounds like it's a bit different in England just because of that the seasonal thing, like
Yeah,
in Canberra we get pretty year-round sessions if we're lucky, but at the same time we're year-round building.
yeah,
So it can be sometimes you can get caught out, and this is actually a really cool thing that Russell has just been saying is he's trying to actively not dig quite so much because you can get into a bit of a loop where you're just like,
yeah,
I'll just go and dig rather than thinking at the end of the day like, oh, I'm trying to build jumps to ride them, not just fucking
yeah,
continuously dig all the time, which I think is really cool about the England scene. And then same goes with over in PA or whatever. It seemed like there's a clear, we're all just
yeah,
going to the trails to dig, and then you're
yeah,
moving on from there. Yeah,
yeah.
it one of the things that I loved after meeting you was meeting your young bloke. Well, he's not so young; he's fucking taller than I am, and that Levi. It was sick
Yeah,
to see that you had like the next full blown next gen. How's that
yeah,
having someone that you can share that passion with?
yeah, mate. It, I can't put into words, Tyson. You know, riding a lion is that you've built and flowing through it is pretty amazing. Riding a lion that you've built with your son and flowing through it behind him, watching him kick out and just you've seen him ride, he's got his own little style, lanky knees together. He loves watching like Doyle and Reynolds and Joe Simpson ride trails because they're all tall like him.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and man, it's just like you can have the worst day in the world at work or whatever, or be feeling shit. And I'll meet him at the trails. He'll proper Angus Young it. He'll get off the school bus and he'll be like, Dad, take my bike to the trails. And he'll land at the trails in his school uniform. And he'll ride the lion in his uniform. His mum that mad at me. And yeah, the feeling, oh mate, it's just so good. I'm so lucky to have a son like him, man. He's my world. It's amazing. Like since he's been 3 years old, man, like he's he's 14 now. So he's 14 and he's 11 winters deep. He's
Wow.
11 builds deep. Like, you can give Levi a shovel and go resurface that lip, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
You can go build that transition, or what do you think about this berm? Oh, it's not steep enough on the in or the out, and it's mind blowing, mate. It's so good, and to see the joy he gets, the casual joy, because he's such a laid back kid.
Yeah.
He's so laid back. Like, I want to ride every session and I want to squeeze every last minute out of summer and everything. Whereas he's just, yeah, I'll come and ride, Dad, and yeah, I might ride tomorrow. Or me and my mates, we're going to go and ride this mountain bike track on our BMXs, or it looks fun, so we're going to go and ride it, or we're going to go and ride this, or we're going to go and ride that. And I have to remind myself not to go, come on, come on, come on, come on, because I'm so keen to ride with him all the time. I'm like, just let him be, because he's got all the time in the world.
Mm.
He's 14. He's got all the time in the world. And the more I let him be self and the more I let him be, the more he develops this cool little, his own little thing. And they've got their own little crew now. There's him, Lewis, Luke, Lathan, all the elves. And the salt between the four of them is awesome. They all come and do their bit. They look after the tables, they look after the smaller line, and they all ride together, and they'll naff off on the train for 2 hours to go and find some obscure fucking pump track and gnarly old concrete skate park in the winter and ride it in the rain and stuff. And they're so cool, and you can see that they're branching off now. And to be a part of giving that to kids, to giving that to younger fellas, and putting that passion for digging jumps and riding jumps, and it being your own lad, it's the best, man. It's just unexplainable. It's so good. It's
He's
so good.
he's I can't believe he's only 14. Like, obviously
On
he's fucking he seems white, like he's like got this maturity about him, and I do believe that, like, maybe it's just the hard work or something that happens from digging trails, or maybe like just BMX in itself. I feel like you get a bit of accelerated way of seeing the world, because you're not scared to fucking do stuff yourself. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you should be proud, man. He was
I
a
am.
good kid, man.
I'm I'm so proud. He's so good at school. And honestly, he's in all the fucking top classes, doing awesome in his exams.
Wow.
He in a bit of trouble at home. He's fucking super helpful with me in the house. And I'm just but I have, like, me and him have literally spent all the time together. Like, and him growing up, he's always like grew up with older people, and he has got a good work ethic. He's got that, if we work hard, then we get all this fun, and I think that has resonated through into his school, because, dude, he comes home with some reports and I tear up. I'm like, I can't believe, like, teachers are saying this about you. Like, it's so sick. And then he'll go like, yeah, but Dad, have you seen these football boots? And they're like 200 quid. But he's got like this report that I'm like, yeah, come on, let's go and get them. What can I say?
Yeah.
But I genuinely do think, like, the trails scene and growing up and traveling heaps. Like, when he was like 6 years old, I took him over he went on his first abroad BMX trip when he was 6.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah, we
crazy,
went to
man.
Spain. We went to Spain. I went to
Oh,
Barcelona and met all the Spanish guys, and he was like 6 years old, full Barcelona strip, like little 16-inch Colt, like, yo, I'm here riding the Poma and the Ret and everything. He was stoked.
wow.
And yeah, he just, like, part of part of the furniture. Like I'll walk into a spot and the first thing people ask me is, "Where's Levi?" I'm like, "He's just coming, man. He's just behind me." Yeah, and it's been that way all his life. Yeah,
Yeah.
so proud, and I do. But like with like the trails like ethos, I've had like a few generations of like youngsters pass through the woods.
Mm.
Probably on the fourth generation now with like Luke. And dude, they've all done well. They've all done good. So they come in there 10, 11, cheeky little kids, fucking hyped, don't quite know where they fit in. They don't fit in with the football crowd. They don't fit in with the trendy crowd. They don't like the music they listen to. They fucking come in the woods. They hear fucking you Kill 'Em All blasting and Sabbath and fucking see that everyone's a bit fucking different. And you see them go like, oh yeah, so this is where I'm at. And then like fast forward a couple of years, they're like smooth as fuck through the jumps. You hear them. You're like, fucking, are you listening to like Tom Petty? Yeah, I'm listening to Tom Petty. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You're 13, and then like, you just see their little characters like develop, and then like I say, there's probably 3 or 4 generations that have come through, and they've all done good, man. They've all, got good jobs. They've either gone to college and uni, or they've got apprenticeships and become like chippies or plumbers. And Luke, bless him, he's just gone through his apprenticeship, been a chippy. He's just bought his first car at 17.
Oh wow.
And now like him, Levi, and Lewis are going, oh, we're going on road trips, we're going here, we're going there. I'm like, frick, you three, you're all over 6 foot, and you're in a fucking Nissan Micra. You're going to fit the bikes in there with you three long trunks. And there's guys before him, Alex. He was a super badass rider and super nice kid, proper grafter, always grafting. He's done well for himself. And I do think they get that ethos of some kids when they go to work and a boss tells them what to do, they must go like, they must pull a face or be a bit fucked or whatever. When these dudes go to work and they've had me barking at them for fucking 5 years, going, pull that barra, bring me that broom, bring that up, that shit, that ain't right, that ain't how you fucking patter landing in. There ain't enough dirt there. They go to work and their boss asks them to do something and they're like, fucking hell, he's polite. And, and they probably graft like fuck, and they know the hard work reward thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And it's nice that to think that I've had a hand in, giving them BMX and saying, fucking look at this. This is how you do this. This is how you build jumps. Okay, away you go. Like Elliot, man, like young Elliot Toombs, you've just stole him off us. He's moved to Australia
Oh really?
this year. Yeah, he's moved to Australia this year. Like felt and local from a kid. Super sick rider, like unreal rider. Like mega got into surfing as well. So he's like, oh, and he's a chippy. So he's like, fuck it, I'm going to live in Oz. I'm like, no. And he's like 21 now. So he's
Wow.
like he's proper flew the nest.
Fucking
But
hell. 21, that's impressive. Fly across the world like that.
yeah, man, yeah. It's bought a van, done the van up, done it all out. He's like, fuck it, I'm got a job. I'm over here, I'm making a go of it, like.
That's
Yeah.
sick. Fucking trails, man. I feel the same sort of like it's interesting because I just have the same sort of story of like I grew up building jumps because I didn't have a skate park. I lived in a country town. Me and my mates would build jumps and shit like that. And then at an old BMX track actually. But it wasn't actually until I came to Canberra and met Riss. So I moved here when I was 18 and met Riss. And I feel like Riss being 10 years older than me And at the time, 28 years old was like the older dude, which is quite funny.
Yeah,
But you know, he was the one that sort of introduced me to like the next level of trails. You know, like I just had
yeah,
jumps. He fucking had trails. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
And it was just so sick to, I don't know, I guess be introduced to that. And by the same token, exactly like what you said, he was salty, but still gave you the time of day to be like, you can learn how to build better than what you did. You know, because wasn't wasn't shy to build some shit, but the shit were building didn't look like the shit that they were building. You know what I mean? So it was pretty sick to have learned that, and now you have that next level, next generation of kids, and now fuck, same goes. He's got a 14-year-old son and a 12-year-old son that's at the trails all the time as well, and they've got their own mates going on. Yeah, fuck. It's pretty crazy how sick BMX can, and especially trails, I feel, can do that.
yeah. Oh,
You know,
100%,
yeah,
100%.
it's
Because you
sick.
get an ownership, you get an ownership of what you've all built.
That's right.
You know, and
Yeah,
there's a real brotherhood there. You know.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Hey, give me 1 second. I just got to plug my laptop in. I thought it was plugged in,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
not. One sec.
I'll just have a quick piss.
We're back for those who are listening, or I'm back. Yeah, yeah, man. It's a special thing, and I haven't been able to get enough of it lately with the trails, um, just trail stuff. I feel like I'm in this weird season of my life where I took over the shop full time from Riss. Riss is actually, yeah, so he's moving on, and he actually got a job as a trail maintenance dude at the bike park. So
Wow,
that's like his dream, not his dream
wow,
job, but he's pretty psyched to. So where Hillfire and shit is, they only just did it for the ACT government. It's the first time they've ever had an internal trail maintenance crew for up there.
wow.
And yeah, he was really lucky to get like there's like three jobs that are going, and he's one of the three dudes, and it's going to be a fuck, man. That whole mountain's going to change for infinitely the better because that dude has so much pride in having sick shit, you know, even though he doesn't really ride
Yeah,
mountain bikes and things like that. He's just keen to have it all pumping. And it's interesting. I've said it a few times in the podcast, in a couple of other podcasts, that Hillfire Spot is so sick, and I'm so proud that we got it done. But it's in a weird sort of situation right now where it's a public place that isn't going to be dozed, which we tend to have quite a drama with in Canberra, is getting jumps demolished and shit. But this
mm.
place is public, but then because of that, it doesn't get the same sort of vibe and attention from a crew that wants to build there all the time, you know, like it kind of gets a bit
Yeah, yeah.
left out in the rain, you know, so
Yeah,
to speak.
you ain't got someone going out like looking at a weather app going, fuck, it's gonna rain tonight. Is anyone gonna go and put the tarps on, or we need to open this because that needs to get wet because it's dry and
Yeah, yeah.
24/7 in it, man.
Yeah, that's it. But I think it'll get a lot better once Riss is up there because I want to see that joint be another spot, you know, rather than
Yeah, man.
just rather than just a public jump line. You know, I want it to be like another spot that people take pride
Yeah,
in
proper
owning,
proper
you know?
spot. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So is that like, has he got that job like that's a proper cards in job through the government,
Yeah, yeah. Like it's the
like
first time the government's ever
pension
done.
and
Yeah, yeah. So full time, 40 hours a week building jumps. Fucking
that is, and I speak to him and he's moaning at me, telling me he's got it rough. I'm up the trails at 6 in the morning, and then I'm opening the BMX shop, and then I'm doing this, I'm doing that. He's getting paid fortunes for building trails, and he's telling me he's got an hard life. Wait till I get over there, boy. Wait till I get over there and see him.
Man, it was
What a
pretty
legend.
yeah, dude. It's funny. We probably spent the last not so much now just because I've had to adjust my life with having a son and I'm not in the same stage of my life as what Riss is with his kids, but that's part of the reason why he started the shop opening hours at 11 and like, every it'd always be, oh, I got to go to work early, and then we just go to the
Yeah.
trails in the morning, and it was such a blissful thing to be able to go to the trails for
Oh,
hours, like especially when the world's going by and everyone else is at work and you're just able to spend your week
oh.
mornings at the trails. It's such a sick feeling.
Guys, how good is it riding in the morning, man?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
The best way to start the day, a big, strong coffee, casually go through the jumps. There's like, the sun's just coming up, just sweeping them out, little water,
Yeah.
tunes on, like you say. The rest of the world just in the rat race and just,
Yeah.
oh man, I love morning laps. Morning
Yeah.
laps just puts you in a wicked mood for the rest of the day. When you have one of them sessions, you just hit the sweet spots on everything. Like kickouts are coming around super easy, tables are folded, like noses in the top of the landings. You're just like walking on air for the rest of the day
Yeah,
again.
man. Yeah,
So good.
it's the absolute best. Hey, I actually
Oh,
wanted
I
to get
love him.
your opinion on something, only because I haven't had a chance to actually talk to people about it. But in in Australia, there seems to be a bit of a divide somewhat between the mountain bike trail builders and trail riders and the BMX trail builders and trail riders. And I kind of wanted to know what your opinion is with it, because that's certainly something that I noticed over there is there's a lot more prominence with, you know, dudes that are on, I guess, mountain bikes or whatever you want to call them, fucking hardtails and
Well, there's it's a grey area really, because there's dudes that ride 24-inch jump bikes over here. So you've got like the DMR riders, and there's a new company now just started by Jim and Jamie called Roots,
yeah, yeah. I'd actually
which
would
is,
like to support those guys in the shop.
bro. I believe me, I was lucky enough to get a set of pedals off Jim, and they're the best pedals I've ever rode. And I ain't saying that because Jim's my mate. I'm saying it because Jim's been building jumps since he was 13 and he's nearly 40. And him and Jamie have obsessed for 12 months over making the best trails pedal. And they're amazing. And the frames that they're building are amazing. And they're trying to bridge the gap. And make, trails, exclusive trails stuff. So exclusive trails pedals, exclusive trails frames. So they're making BMX frames and they're making 24-inch frames. So, in my opinion, people who ride the 24s, man, you watch them ride them in England. You watch the Leatherhead dudes ride 24s. You watch the Wisley guys ride 24s. Dude, they ride them like BMXs. They're super stylish. Boom, big kickouts, massive flow, big nose dives, super steezy. You go to their spots. You go to Leatherhead, that's a jump bike spot. Man, it is fucking dialed, Tyson. It's
Yeah.
like glass.
Yeah,
It is
looks
dialed. you know, super dialed. So, but I don't see them guys as mountain bike guys. I see them guys as trails riders,
Mm,
you know.
that's
And then you've got mountain bike trails that, in my opinion, are dead mellow, big, long, sharp fins, mellow lips, mellow landings, all blown out to fuck, normally at a sandy spot. And you get these guys maybe on like a hardtail, but with big squishy forks. I don't know much about mountain bikes, to be honest.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
massive, big, knobbly tires, and they're doing the big, trying to be like Darkfest and all that. And they're the guys that ride like public spots and, don't really dig. And, they've got derailleurs on. And, I would call them guys mountain bike guys. The guys that ride like the 24s and that in England, they're trails guys. They're you go to some spots and it blows my mind. Like I went down to Brockham last year to ride with Johnny, and Johnny's rides a 24, and
Mm,
me and Levi got there, and me and Levi were the only guys on BMXs. And I thought, fucking hell, times have changed. I remember like when you go to a spot and it'd be like, fucking, who's this goon on his mountain bike, blah, blah, blah. But it ain't like that anymore because they're just not seen as mountain bikers, they're just seen as trails riders. And I think it's how it should be, man. You
yeah,
know, the scene in England is stronger for it, it's much stronger for it. And I think Jim starting that Roots company and merging the two together is cool. And it'll be a stronger company for it. And the trail scene in England's a stronger scene for it merging together. Like, don't get me wrong, I will still crack the jokes. I am still staunch BMX, believe me. It's like my religion. You know what I mean? But it's tongue in cheek now.
yeah, yeah,
I've got mad respect for these guys. Super sick riders, super sick dudes, build super sick trails, and they get it. They get it. You know what I mean? And they rock. They ride the things like BMXs. The style is super, super dope. Super
yeah,
dope.
yeah, man. That's my where my opinion is drawn to now is the dudes that are the dudes that are building and shit like that. That it's fucking trails. So you know what I mean? Like, to be honest, if you're building six set of trails and you're riding on a fucking dirt scooter, I don't really give a fuck. Like, because like I don't know, like yeah, they get it. For lack of a better term. Like, I think it's kind of like what you're saying. There's a group of people that maybe would want to take advantage, just like what you said with there's some BMXs that want to take advantage. And
Yeah,
it was kind of eye opening to me, to see that, and then to also see the welcoming side of it in the UK when I was over there, because I hadn't, we don't really have that. We've got the odd mountain bike or the odd dude on a hardtail or whatever it is, but for the most part, the trail scene is kind of propped up by BMX riders in Australia. I would probably say.
yeah,
But having said that, like I don't know if it's just because we're still quite segregated or separated in it. It's just interesting to me to see that, and as time goes on, and especially seeing that Root Designs company, like saying we're not BMX and we're not mountain biking, we're trails. I think
yeah,
that's pretty fucking sick,
yeah, man.
to
It's
do that.
dope.
Mm,
Dope. It's ballsy from Jim and Jamie to do that, but you know, it's like I say, the trail scene's a stronger scene for it in England. So that company's going to be a stronger company for it. I think it's quite bold, like you say, to say, look, we ain't BMX, we ain't jump bike, we're both, we're trails. We are trails. We're a trails company. Our products are for riding trails, and our ethos is trails. And good luck to him, man.
Mm,
So sick,
yeah, for
so
sure.
sick.
Hey, where do you
But the
see? No, you go. Sorry, bit of
I,
a
I
delay.
s- like the like you're saying that the divide with the mountain bikes in England now, it's funny because I see these jump bike guys, these super hardcore, like badass trails rider, badass trails builders. Like I think that the reason it got so big in England was Jimmy Pratt. So
Mm,
you got Jimmy, who's Leatherhead, but Jimmy is the trails boss of trails bosses. Like, yeah, I might have fucking won the NORA Cup and that, but fucking Jimmy is the trails boss of bosses. When Jimmy speaks, I fucking listen. Normally I'm just waiting for someone to stop talking so I can start talking. But when Jimmy talks, I shut up and listen. He's the boss of bosses. And Jimmy always rode a 24. And because he put so much fucking effort into Leatherhead and was like way ahead of his time, like it was all 4 foot, like harsh transitions or like, 6 foot transitions, but steep landings. But Jimmy then, started drawing them out and building, all right, we'll have a 9 foot takeoff, but we'll have it a bit more mellow with a longer tranny that you can push all the bike onto and really pull up on, and a longer, more accepting landing and a bigger, longer bomb hole. And Jimmy started building, lines like that to pull up on and go high and that. And like he kind of, in a way, like went like, nah, like you guys are building jumps like that, that's fun, but how about building jumps like this? And like he influenced the way like people build jumps, and I think that was down to Jimmy, you know what I mean? And because he was such a sick, you know, rider on a 24, like having the pleasure of watching that guy ride trails, he was like watching Robbo. You watch Robbo ride trails and you're just like, fuck, that's poetry. Jimmy was the same. I'd put Jimmy and Robbo the same echelons, man. Just
wow.
a beautiful, beautiful thing to watch go through a set of jumps. Never mind Jimmy being on a 24. It's just a thing of beauty. Like the shapes he would pull, the way he would manipulate the bike, big nosedive threes, just a thing of beauty. And the way he built jumps and the basically dug till he couldn't dig anymore at Leatherhead physically. His back's fucked now. He struggles to walk and stuff. He's in all sorts of trouble. There were a group of kids that seen Jimmy and went, fuck, this dude's the sickest. And he bred a group of youngsters, and that group just grew, and it's still growing, and it's super sick, man. It's super sick.
Yeah, yeah. I was pretty lucky to meet Jimmy at Brockham when I went there, and yeah, fuck, you can definitely tell that he's spent a lot of years fucking making it happen. To another level, which is pretty sick. Crazy that he even was there after hearing Bob explain to me, like he's fucking on like a motorized scooter and shit like that, and obviously he's struggling with his back. Pretty, you know.
He's in a real bad way, Toast. Like, it. I mean, I'm like, when I meet people, I'm a fucking hugger. Yo, come here. Like Jimmy's always like, Joe, gentle. And I'm like, fuck, man. Like, and he'll come in on his like motorized scooter and he'll get his big like deck chair out and he'll get the deck chair out and he'll sit down and it'll be like, right, skin up. And he'll just sit there all day buzzing off watching people ride. He'll be like, yo, that table was sick, folded, get it sideways, pull up. And just, he's still there. He still travels. He still does trails trips. He'll still come up to Belton and be like, right, what have you built, boss? Show me what you've built this winter. Let's have a walk through. Oh, there's square edges on that. I like that. And that tranny looks sick. I like what you've done there. the dude's struggling to walk, but his passion for trails and traveling around and still seeing the guys and still being part of the sessions. It's amazing. And honestly, Tyson, when you go to Leatherhead, dude,
Yeah. Fuck.
so good. So good. And Jimmy put his heart and soul into that place and then passed on the baton to the younger generation, and they've just fucking ran with it. You know, their big line there is another level.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, the last jump's 40 foot and the takeoff's probably 12 foot tall, proper takeoff, proper landing. None of this skimmer bullshit. It's a proper fucking jump, man. And
Fucking.
it's, dude, it's fucked, honestly. It's sick as.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fuck. I heard it's in a
So,
really narrow, like,
yeah, it
portion
is.
too.
It's in a mad narrow, like, stretch of woods, like, super narrow, like, you know, like, down there, everything's, well, England's tiny in it, so everything's so built up, and especially down south. It's like sandwiched at the side of a dual carriageway. They've built like they've built like a medieval fortress type of wall between them and the dual carriageway. You know, it's like
Yeah.
something you see in fucking Game of Thrones, you know what I mean? To hide the jumps. And then you've just got like this paradise, man. And
Wow.
like the jump, everything's like super square. All the transitions are perfect. They've got a fucking hut with bulletproof glass in so it doesn't get broke. Pizza oven, grill, a pond with fucking goldfish in. It's all planted out, you know, fences and little like bits of planting and stuff. It's a fucking paradise. I
Wow.
remember the first time I went there, I was like, I gotta go back to Belton now and put fucking 4 foot on everything. Yeah, it was that inspirational, mate. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
I think like the like I say, I don't see the 24-inch riders as mountain bikers. I just see them as trails dudes, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
mad respect, man.
for sure, for sure.
But having said that, fuck 'em BMX.
I hear you. I love it, man.
Yeah.
Hey, is there you got any other plans? When's summer swinging around? When's the rain stopping?
Oh, mate. Well, normally under the normal run of things, we'd just be laying grooves now. So
Oh well.
we're about 4 weeks, 3 weeks late. So after a horrendous winter, I mean, like the worst, like rain off its chops, like raining constantly. So I'm told it's the wettest winter since records began in England, and it fucking rains a lot in England anyway. So yeah, we've just been going. We've had a big winter this year. I mean, it was so lucky. One of our neighbours, where our spot is, this quite affluent area. So there's some big houses along the back of the woods, and I know all the residents, super cool with all of them. Some of the kids have passed through the woods, and you know they come over and walk the dogs. You know they'll come over and in the summer and watch us ride, and you know they're super sound. You know, always stop and chat. So the guy comes and sees me just as autumn was cracking off. He says, "Joe, I've got something you might be interested in." I says, "What's that, pal?" "I'm having a swimming pool built." I said, "Put the dirt there." He says, "There's going to be a lot of dirt." I'm like, "Lift the fence panels up, put the dirt there." So yeah, I had 150 ton of primo gold dumped in the woods.
Fuck.
So I was like, I was gonna have a quiet winter this winter, but I was like, man, you can't look a gift horse in the mouth. When does that ever happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Never in my lifetime. So as one of our lines that kind of like fell behind, like hadn't moved with the times. It's called Savage. It's like a hip line. It's got like a step down, and it all started to feel a bit too bunched up because we'd built our big line. We'd spent like 4 years building our big line, and that's super fun, man. Like spaced out, big long transitions, big landings, fast. Like, man, when you hit them bottom 4 sets, you're just like, whoa, like 25 foot fucking, big 9 foot tall lips. And then we done major mods on our main line and made that kind of the same. And then like riding Savage, which used to be like the gnarly line, had kind of rode it last year and was like, it ain't giving me that fizz. So I was like, I'd like to change it. As soon as he dumped that 150 in there, I was like, yep, pull the tops off, let it get wet, start smashing up the trannies, and just went mental, obsessive, crazy guy. Fucking, I'm gonna dig 4, 5, 6, sometimes 7 days a week, just pushing wheelbarrow after wheelbarrow after wheelbarrow, pissing down rain, coat on, 2 coats. When that coat gets soaked, get the other one out the bin bag, and keep pushing, annoying the fuck out of everyone on the group chat. Has anyone been down? We're riding, fucking, has anyone pushed any barrows? More barrows, volume, 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 volume. Like, we'd go down and do a session, and my mate had got a thingy on an app on his phone. Is it the one where you see how many miles you do? Is it a Garmin or something?
Oh, it's like Strava or something like that.
Strava.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
got a Strava for barras, and we were doing like 6 and 7 mile barra sessions,
Holy
like
fuck.
like 100 barras. Like, dude, we were walking out of there like, oh god. And
Holy fuck.
obviously got like tarps, so you'd be doing it in the rain, but you'd be tarping it straight away, and then as soon as it weren't raining, untarp it, start stacking it, stack it in stages. So we'd have like 5 barras on the go, and we'd have like all the young lads, the pit vipers I call them, filling the barras. Then we'd be pushing them, and then you'd have 2 lads stacking, and then it'd just be like boom, 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 boom. So yeah, I've just been like mad obsessed with getting that line ripping, and all up, and all the trannies perfect. And man, there was tape measures out before I dozed it, and then like tape measures all the way through the build, and drawings and angles took, and yeah, fingers crossed it works, and
Yeah.
I don't take the head tube off first run. But
It,
yeah, go on,
cra-
sorry mate.
oh no, I was just gonna ask if you made any changes to the actual line, or you're just building up and building, you know what
Oh
I'm saying?
no,
Changing.
changed it, man. Like, moved one of the jumps, like moved the whole jump probably 8 foot down the woods, because there was like a bit of a sharp finish step down that was super overshoot, but it was kind of how we rode it 10, I don't know, 10 year ago when it was first built, probably longer than that. How we'd rode it. It was kind of like it was super overshooty, but you just done nothing on the jump before it and just killed it and just
Oh yeah.
flopped over it. But then the next set was on you super quick. So I wanted to push that booty set down the woods and build the step down up so it wasn't overshooty. So you just kind of fall off it, and it doesn't take your legs away, and then you hit this
Yeah, yeah.
big booty set, and then you're over a roller, and then a massive right hip, and then straight into a big 90-degree left hip.
Oh, sick.
So that the middle section of the woods has been moved, a roller's been lowered, and everything's got jacked like
Yeah.
4 or 5 foot. Like, Yeah.
Wow.
It's like the size of the big line now. So it's
Oh
that
shit.
size jump.
Yeah,
So
sick.
yeah.
It's how much 150 ton, how many barrows have you moved at all?
Yeah, it's all gone. It's
Yeah.
all gone. We had
Yeah,
to get
yeah.
more.
Yeah,
We
I was
had
gonna
to go
say.
and dig pits.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it
was gonna
weren't enough.
say you probably yeah.
Never enough dirt, is
Yeah,
there?
yeah. My friend Rain, his Instagram was needs more dirt at one stage. It was so
Yeah,
funny because that
yeah.
seems to be the thing. Like you
Never enough dirt.
yeah.
We were we, we were looking at it before we started moving it, going, yeah, there's like that, like in your head, you're like dividing it up. Yeah, that bit there for the second step, that bit there for the step down, that bit there for booty, that bit. We're gonna lower the roller, so we'll have loads of dirt there. Nah, not enough. Fucking nowhere near enough. We've had to dig another pit and use all the dirt from the roller for that. We've knocked down an old lip and an old landing, fucking thrown that in the mix as well. So we were way short,
Yeah.
way short. Fucking every time there's never enough, is there?
That's sick, man. Dude, you're fucking inspiring dude, man, and so much passion and shit like that comes, when you speak about anything. I could fucking listen to you speak for days, and I love it, man. I feel like we should wrap this up. But is there anything you want to add?
No, no, man. I think we've like I say, dude. When we went for that breakfast, I think me and you could just sit down and just talk shit about BMX all day long.
Yeah, man.
All day long, not a problem.
Yeah.
And Reese the same. But I've putting it squirreling a few quid away, man. I'm coming over in February. Me and Levi are coming over.
Oh, sick.
I wanna rip snails with you. I wanna meet fucking Russell and the boys, and you guys, big inspo for me as well, man. Like Backbone as a brand, and that DVD you put out, and just the ethos of you guys and the way you are, like just sick cunts, man. I'm like, fuck it, I've got to do it. I've got it, because if I don't go over there and do it, I'm gonna fucking regret it. And at 44, I've only got maybe 15, maybe 20 years left to ride my bike, so I've got to get over there while the going's good, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, I'd love to have you over here, mate. Yeah, fuck, you would just raise the stoke for the next fucking decade, I'd reckon.
I'm coming. I'm coming. It's got to be done. It's got to be done.
Sick.
And you got to get Reese over here as well. Now he's a cards in fucking company man that works for the government.
Oh, yeah.
He can have a couple of weeks holiday. Get him over here.
Yeah, yeah, he would, man, for sure. I reckon he's fucking having a second coming, I reckon. He's planning all sorts of trips everywhere. It's sick.
I'd love to ride my spot with him and his
Yeah.
boys, man. There's a fucking house here, Tyson. There's cupboards full of food. There's a van on the drive. It's fucking yours, mate. You and him, fucking. I'll take 2 weeks off work. Fuck the job. We'll go and ride trails, man.
Yeah, man, I'd love that. I'd love that,
Yeah,
dude. I'd love that. Fuck
fuck
yeah,
yeah.
Jay. Well, yeah, thanks again, brother. I really appreciate it.
No
And
worries, man.
it brings me right back to last year when I was there, man. I wanted to just fucking keep shooting the shit, but 10 o'clock at night here, I gotta get home.
Yeah, stick, brother. Good
Yeah,
to speak
man.
to you, man.
So good, bro. Yeah, and I'll speak to you again. Thanks, Jay.
Respect, man. See you
Thank
later,
you.
man.
Bye.